Hello, everybody, and welcome to Boob Camp. Tia, I hope you are braless.
No. Is this, are we at the point where we take it offline?
Yes, we whip it off, throw it over the shoulder. It's no, that's fine. Hello, everybody joining in for day 2 Boob Camp this March, and lovely to be here with all of our people who every month, Tia, every month we do this, and our wonderful ladies join us live, and then we have our newbies joining in as well. So just to bring you up to speed, last night I spoke all about the lymphatic system and some education, and also we ran through the gloves and we ran through the some of the products. So if we talk about them again tonight, that's okay. We're not going to double up because everybody loves them so much. But so everybody, this is my gorgeous friend and my naturopath, Tia Brennan. She is in Brisbane as well. Well, she's all over the bloody country. If you think that I am superwoman, well, look, she's even wears red. This is Wonder Bloody Woman right here. Tia and I have been friends for years now. She is the beautiful co-owner with her sisters of Araya Health. And the conversations, this woman, we can have conversations. You give me goosebumps. We can have conversations about everything. You know,
there is no taboo subject.
There is no taboo. Can everybody please let me know if you can hear Tia, because we've had a little tech fun as we normally do. Tia and I teach the LAW workshop together in person, and normally we can nail the tech at the end of the day, but Tia is joining on the phone, on the voice over the phone. Can everybody hear? Maria, Nicole, Jules, Trace, Lyndall, you can hear us both. Thanks, Lise. Okay. Woo! Deep breath. So the agenda for tonight is we're going to talk through the things that us women can't escape. Hormones, right? We start off early age and all the changes that happen to our body, and then we go along with that for a little while. And then we have babies, and then all of the ups and the downs, and then the menopause things. It's something that we can't escape. So tonight, I would really love to talk about the things that we can do and a little bit more understanding of what happens to women's bodies, and a little bit more of understanding of how we can make it better. But also, let's talk through my story, Tia, because I'm the one who gets up here and preaches to everybody, know your body. You must know what's going on. And I had no idea that I had a uterus 10 size of normal, that I had a baby's head size fibroid, and then a smaller, and then like 4. I had no idea that I had this soccer ball of fibroids. I didn't know. So,
well, apparently up to 70% in some populations can actually have, of 70% of women may have fibroids, with 30% being symptomatic.
And the only women who escape having fibroids are those who smoke. That's what my gyno told me. Well, that's
very interesting. I've never read the research that said women who smoke don't get fibroids.
Yeah, women who smoke don't get fibroids.
That's interesting, and I would probably want to investigate that a little bit better.
Yeah, they don't know why. They're just saying that, and they're not advocating anyone to start smoking. But yeah, that's interesting. Hey, so let's start from the beginning. Okay, so going through, so a lot of women here will have young girls too. So with the hormonal changes that we go through, and we can link in the lymphatic system as much as possible as well.
Well,
Okay.
it makes sense too, considering all of the lymphatic vessels that actually go into the uterus and the womb and all our intimate areas.
Yeah. So
very,
we,
very much so.
so we start, and some women will have painful periods and some will just breeze through with the, what is the normal amount of blood that women should bleed with their periods?
It is also individual. It really is individual. That being said, if you're having to change your tampon, your pad, your Diva cup every couple of hours, it is far too much. So it really depends on, I mean, there's so much variable to that. But you would expect that you'd maybe change a pad a couple times a day, but not because you're overflowing. And the other really interesting thing, that often the colour of your period blood can be missed. I remember having a client quite a few years ago who always had black period blood, and that had never been discussed that that's actually not normal. Well, it's not healthy or indicative of health. So the colour of your blood actually does also affect it, and the time of your period when the colour will change as well.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
So
there's a lot.
So a lot of girls, young girls, don't want to use condoms, don't want to have a baby. So they go and get the depot, or they go and they take and put on some sort of pregnancy, aversion thing. Mm-hmm. As naturopaths, like, we go along the whole condom route as the best way.
Well, condoms are better, and I mean, abstinence is the best way to maintain that you don't actually get an STI, an STD, or make a baby.
Yes.
Best way, abstain, no sex. That being said, I think often we miss the point that we think birth control is only birth control, and we forget that STIs and STDs are really quite on the rise again.
Mm-hmm.
So condoms are always going to be the best method, but then having a dual approach if they're wanting to maintain that they don't fall pregnant, because condoms fail.
Yeah. And we're finding out, so talking about STDs and different pathogens and different all of those lovely big words that you love, so when I went and found out that I had my fibroids, the symptoms that I was having was my bladder control was terrible. I nearly said shit house, but it should be really wee house, right? It was, my bladder control was terrible. I couldn't laugh as I wanted to. I couldn't jump and run and dance and do all of those things.
So these massive fibroids are putting pressure onto your bladder.
Yeah, did it know. And then I started to get my period every 21 days, and it was just getting,
which is unusual for you.
And it was just getting heavier and heavier. So we decided, we're like, okay, because so many people are like, oh, you're a naturopath, you should just be doing it naturally. Well, I've done a lot of things, right? We've done. I'm quite healthy. We do a lot of liver cleansing. We do a lot of estrogen clearing. We do all of those things, and I still had this big thing.
Yeah.
Right.
But you make an assumption that fibroids are only hormonal driven. We really don't know how much. So we think it's hormonal driven because there's been no reported case of a prepubescent female having fibroids, and typically after menopause they either shrink or your risk factor does decrease. But that being said, there's a huge amount of non-hormonal drivers, one of which is inflammation. Mm-hmm. So your estrogens may have been high 20 years ago.
Yeah.
They might have picked off the growth, but that doesn't necessarily potentiate the growth.
Yes. So the way that I saw that I had a lot of estrogen is my body shape, because I always had a big booty and a little waist. I get the brown marks on my face as well. So those things indicated that my body shape was more an estrogen body shape too. But really interesting, is it? As we now know, your estrogens aren't very high at all. But is your sensitivity to estrogens high? And what if it's more of a man-made estrogen, so
BPA, PCB, some form of estrogen that's say found in plastic, and therefore you're storing in fat.
Yes. So let's go back a couple of steps.
Okay,
so
sorry.
when I said to you, okay, I'm going to go and interview some gynecologists, like you said, so I went and interviewed some, and then you said, Chelsey, you are going to go and do your Dutch test, and you're going to go and do a vaginal swab, because I want to know what's going on up there. Okay.
Completely.
And then I said to my gyno, you know, should I do this and that? But anyway, so we did the vaginal swab, and it came back that there were not nastiness, but there was some bacteria and some things there that, if left to for them to still have a party and me to have an operation, I could have got infections and things could have happened.
Well, and could they have been the driver to your inflammation? Because one of the ones that you came back with was ureaplasma, which can be the leading cause of pelvic inflammatory disease. And we know causes of normal growth and inflammation. So was that one of your drivers for fibroids? It's really interesting discussion.
And isn't that also, if people have got that big word, then falling pregnant can be hard as well?
It can be linked with infertility. Yes, it sure can. But you had quite a few different ones. So your vaginal microbiome was really depleted. It was too alkaline. So there was definitely and clearly dysbiosis and inflammation going on in the vagina.
Yeah.
Now, that's important on its own anyway. But say that microbiome is like a forest. There's lots of weeds in your forest. Once you start cutting into the uterus and opening up into your pelvis, that bacteria could get internally and therefore increase your risk of pelvic inflammatory disease.
Yeah. And for other people, I know there's another naturopath, and then other people I know who's gone and had a hysterectomy like I did. They have ended up in a little shitload of pain and having infections, because I don't think that they did this testing like you suggested for me to do prior. Yeah.
Look, I can't comment on what happened in their situation or why or how, but for me, and when I caution my clients and you when we're having the discussion, we just want to remove any risk factor and make sure the vagina, the uterus, everything is as healthy as it can be before we're actually delving inside and doing major surgery and opening up areas to bacteria that was never intended.
Yeah, so I have shared a lot of the pre-work that I've done with everybody, like on Instagram and during my stories. So as we said before, we don't know exactly what drives fibroids, but I also think it's emotional. And so
lots of emotional.
Yeah, so leading up to, I did a lot of womb healing. I went and had yoni steaming. Have you had Yeah. So when I sat on this, I went on a girls retreat with Tracy, who works for me. We went over to Coochie, and I sat on the chair and had this beautiful robe on, and we had a steam going on underneath us with all the herbs and things. So I've done yoni steaming. I went and had hypnosis, and because things that have happened to me in my life I have had quite traumatic shit happen, like womb stuff. And I think that I wanted to let my womb know that I love it and I forgive it, and that not to harvest any more hurt, that doesn't need to hold on anymore. And even though I am going to have a hysterectomy and have it removed, it's still a part of me. So I wanted to do a lot of that healing energetically and emotionally, as well as like physically. And like the protocol that you put me on to get rid of my weeds and all of those things, like it wasn't easy. We were away on holidays and I had to, take this.
It is very complex for a short period of time.
Yeah.
For about 6 weeks. And I mean, you should still be doing some of it. I'm sure you are.
Yes.
Longer term. Yeah,
yes.
Because it's not, forests aren't grown overnight.
No. So I had to, now just if there's any questions, everybody online, please, pop your questions in the box as well. So yeah, doing the pest, pop them in the box. I had to pop a lot of stuff in my box, and pessaries and this and that, and then once you put it in, you've got to lay down, and then it's like, oh, now I can't get up, and
we forget that the vagina is its own microbiome, so it's its own forest and its own bacteria, and it's we need to look after it, and things that affect it, such as condoms, lubricants. We've got to be really careful what we're putting inside our vaginas.
Yes. Yeah. So
even baths. Bathing in. What soapy, lots and lots of things.
Yeah. Well, I only bathe in your favorite thing ever. So the magnesium spray is what I put, about 1.5 centimeters in out of the bottom into the bath. If I'm happy to bath, I do that. But so as you said, you've got to be careful of all of those things. And I'm so glad that I did, because like within 2 weeks, I'm back getting a checkup, and the surgeons, because I had to have 2 surgeons work on me, the surgeons are like, oh my God, like, look at you. And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Like, I was back at work. I shouldn't have been, but I was back at work in 4 days, and feeling fine, still taking care of movement and not moving and of not lifting, but
you need to be careful because it's major surgery.
Yeah.
But if you give the body all the nutrients and you do pre-work appropriately, we would expect your response and your recovery time to be far greater.
Yeah, so it was well worth that. So then the next test that I did was the Dutch test. Can you talk us off before we do that? Annie has said, I had a pelvic inflammatory disease at 17, had my first operation on 8 cervical polyps at 17, had my hysterectomy with my last child and my C-section. I've had 3 Caesars, 4 laparoscopies. I can't never say that word. Laparoscopy, and I have endometriosis. I wish I knew all of this stuff when I was younger. Even though I don't have a womb and haven't for 20 years, I need to forgive mine too. Right?
Didn't let you down.
No.
Beautiful babies by the sound of things.
Yeah, and Trace, mine is 100% neglected, and I couldn't tell you the last time I had a cancer smear, etc., and I don't know where to start. Okay.
Do you know the best place would be to do a really good vaginal swab and to go get a HPV swab?
Yes.
Yep. I remember reading really interesting research, and we didn't really understand why HPV converted to abnormal cells. And we think it's actually got to do in place of bacterial vaginosis. So in a vagina that isn't robust in its own microbiome, things like HPV get to mutate the cells. So making sure that we have a really healthy vagina is really important.
Yeah, and it's not really on the top of anyone's list to go, oh, today I'm going to make sure I have a healthy vagina. So here we are talking all about boobs. What does healthy even look like? Exactly.
What does a healthy vagina look like, smell like, feel like, taste like?
Yeah. Like all, yes.
Yep. And we often think it smells a bit fishy, or it smells, vaginas don't smell great. Actually, vaginas smell amazing. If it has an aroma, it actually tells us that there is some form of dysbiosis going on, and we should be addressing that. And it may be short term. It might be during the time of, it might be cyclical. It might be after intercourse. There are so many things that it could be affected by. But it does tell us, something's a little bit quirky. I probably should investigate that.
Yeah, but when you just think that it's normal. And
exactly.
And that's why I'm happy that I did the swabs to find out exactly what's going on in there, because you not only got to treat you've got to treat your partner.
Completely. You need to treat anybody you're having sex with. Full stop.
Yeah.
It can, if things come back, then yes, typically both have to be treated.
Yeah. Okay. So haven't they? They've changed the way that they do the pap smears now, I think.
Yes,
Mm.
yes. They've changed to they test you for HPV. Now, it's really interesting. So you get tested for HPV, and if you come back positive, they go,
okay,
we'll watch.
Yeah.
We'll just have a look.
We'll just look at, well, okay, you've got
We'll
it.
just keep looking. Yeah.
Mm.
That, however, isn't an appropriate response. However, in the medical system's defence, there's no drug that they can give you for HPV.
Yeah. Same as the lymphatics.
You can't expect them to be able to treat what it's almost outside their scope of what they can do.
Mm-hmm.
As naturopaths, we could possibly do a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah, and we do a lot. So one, it's like do the investigation. Okay.
Always.
So if you have trace, like if you haven't done any of the like the vaginal swabs and testing, as you know, you probably haven't done any stool testing, you probably haven't done any blood tests for a while either. So there comes a time when it's just good to know.
And
you know,
what was your driver for PID? Was it was it ureaplasma?
Yeah.
When did you first become sexually active? Was it something ureaplasma is picked up after sex? Something like 80% of the sexually active population has it, and it only ever becomes a problem if your immune system drops enough for it to overtake your other indigenous strains of bacteria.
Yes.
And then we need to be treating that.
So that's the pelvic inflammatory disease.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yes. So then we did your Dutch test.
Then we did the Dutch
really
test. Cool. Yeah, so it wasn't that hard. I've heard people say, oh my God, you know, it's painful to do, not painful hurt-wise.
Well, it's annoying to have to remember to do things. That's all.
So I had to wake up and swab my mouth and collect my pee. Yes. Yep. And then I had to do it an hour after waking, and then 2 hours, and then lunch, and then whatever, and then dinner, and collect, write on all of the samples, when, what time, all of that, put it all into the freezer. And it's hard because like I'm, you know, sometimes at Jordan's and then sometimes at home and then at work. So, you know, here I am traveling with my pee and my spit. And
which is super sexy.
So sexy. So you open up the freezer and it's like, there's Chelsey's wee. And you know, doesn't matter.
Own it.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. And then so we sent that away, and we've got my results back, which shows that my estrogen and my progesterone levels are past menopausal, right? Is that right?
Yeah, they are so low. Incredibly low.
And this is the other thing, like, because I said to you the other day, is my iron levels came back like low, like zero, not zero, but really low. But my energy, I'm still Chelsey. Like it didn't impact me in that way. I've got no estrogen and no progesterone, but I still feel exactly the same. I don't feel up or down or round and round. And we have a lot of people, you would see it, I'd see it, like women come in and they go, you know, no energy, and it could be their iron, or they're yelling and screaming and ripping and hair falling out. And we need to answer the hair falling out question too. So I don't tend to react a lot if I'm lacking in something.
No. But then you can also do horse dosing of supplements as well.
Oh yeah, I take a lot of shit.
You need to do really high dosing. So things can be true and not at the same time. So things that are true are, if you have really low iron, you can feel really fatigued. But also true is if you have really low iron, you may not know. And it comes down to there is baseline foundational supports that your body needs to function every single day. And one of these non-negotiables is iron. Yeah. I think you were at a circulating iron of 5 and a ferritin of below 30, if I remember correctly, you telling me?
I don't know. You're the one who reads all of my blood tests.
Yeah. So more to the point, it shows that either your ability, so you had very little reserves of iron and you also had very little circulating iron, which makes sense because you were essentially hemorrhaging every 21 days.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's talk about that a little bit. Like, I just thought it was a little bit more blood than normal. But some women, Tia, and you would get the same story. Some beautiful women, they can't leave the house. They literally walk out of their room, and even like through a thick pad, blood will just go all over the floor. Like,
that is far, far too much. And your periods shouldn't really affect you. It shouldn't affect your energy that much. Should be a little bit, you might be a little bit down, you might be a little bit more emotional, you may get slight discomfort, but you shouldn't get those major hormonal swings of either aggression and such sadness. You shouldn't be bleeding out. Those are really big giveaways.
Yeah, yes. So,
and just because your mother or sisters have it doesn't make it normal.
That's right.
I think
that's a big one.
Oh no, that's just every woman in my family. Yeah. Doesn't make it good.
No, doesn't make it. No, it's not. You still investigate.
Healthy.
Yes. Yeah. Very, very good point. So we did my test, and I've come back that I've got pretty much no estrogen and no progesterone, and so we've started on a herbal. Yep, which is great.
Progesterone.
Yep. And then I've also started on an estrogel, so an estrogen gel.
My personal opinion, and every naturopath will have a different opinion on this, is your estrogens and progesterones were too low for me to boost naturally, and your building blocks weren't appropriate. So your DHEA levels were okay, but not fabulous. So it's shunting across to testosterone and preferentially going across there and ignoring your estrogen and progesterone. So my personal opinion is natural identical hormones of estrogen and ideally progesterone would be given while we focus on your conversion of DHEA to estrogen and progesterone.
Because if it's not working in one way as it should, the body will try to make it work another way, right? It will
often it can.
Yeah, it will like rob Peter to give to Paul or something. So what's the relationship? Yeah.
Sorry, you go.
Okay, so what's the relationship then? Because then your adrenal glands will try to make estrogen or like will try to make hormones, and then you get cortisol as a byproduct. Is it like they can make 6 grams or 6 something or other of estrogen a day?
It gets messy. It gets really, really messy. And what you're also coming back is starting on the brink of adrenal exhaustion because your cortisols aren't rising as they should. So your cortisols are your get up and go hormones. Yep, we got this. And your Dutch test is showing that is on the brink of, failure's the wrong word.
Disaster.
Oh, what does disaster?
You're going to have to take over Boob Camp.
Sorry?
You're going to have to take over Boob Camp. I'm handing over the glove that way.
I don't do public speaking. I do public speaking for you.
I know you do. I know you do. Thank you. So all this compensation. And because you don't notice that big a difference is you're also just a very, very bouncy person. If you're not bouncy, you're dead. Yeah. There's no in between. Yeah.
So you're not going to notice it until you crash.
Crash and burn. Yeah. Well, that ain't happening. We catch it, right? We've caught it. We've done the testing.
100%. Yep.
And we've caught it.
Going on for you, and we've gone, right, what do we need to implement? Things like iron, even though you didn't realize you needed iron.
Yeah.
We need to implement herbs to help boost your cortisols and support your cortisols. We need to help you with methylation and conversion of hormones, as well as for hopefully only a short period of time, but we don't know how that'll go, staying on your natural identical hormones. Yeah. Which is where your doctor is so amazing and has looked at your tests and agreed that this is the best option for you.
Yes. Yeah, she has been really good. And like I've got a couple of great GPs who are really integrative and who work together. You've spoken to one of them. So it's great to have a doctor that's open to both and
Yes.
working
But also
together.
you need to take control of your health, and nobody will be your advocate other than you.
Mm-hmm.
So you make the decisions you want and you stand by them. You can't put your health in someone else's hands. That's unrealistic and unfair for your healthcare professional.
Yes, and they only know what they know as well. And normally we know that the GPs are normally, it's around 17 years behind the studies that are coming out and the new things. So
it's very different, and it's a very different regulated industry, and I think they're just doing an amazing job with the tools they provided.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
Okay, so other things that so women can do for their hormonal health. So we raised the fact of getting rid of anything BPA, thyroid. Can we talk a little bit about thyroid and hormones and poisons and that type of thing?
Yeah. So some of the interesting things that are coming out with research is that these persistent organic pollutants, or we call POPs, so all of the chemicals in our environment, are possibly the leading cause of all Western diseases, which is a really, really big statement. So thyroid issues, cancers, fibroids, mental health. It's really interesting that since the age of the Industrial Revolution, we're seeing a rise of diseases that have never occurred before.
Yeah.
Right. So one of the things that I love doing in clinic, and I get a lot of results with, is I use a detox protocol with bioclinics. They're 4 powders. I love them.
Yes.
I get the differences I get with people, from weight loss to energy to, I had a really interesting case come in a little while ago. Heart attack. He's fit, no family history of it, no cardiovascular disease whatsoever. And what we were able to figure it out was the day before he had his heart attack, he stood in some flood water in the park next to him where they'd sprayed with slasher.
Oh.
So I took a deep delve into, hang on, this guy has no cardiovascular issues. He's fit. He's a triathlete. Like, there's all of these really good things, really great diet, no history of heart issues in any of his family. And once I started reading the research, looking into heavy metal poisoning, tox, environmental poisons actually causing heart attack. So really crazy and really cool. So what are we doing every day to bind to these toxins and chemicals? And it's the same with fibroids. For that non-hormonally driven component, we know food additives are a problem, toxins, chemicals. What's potentiating the growth of these fibroids?
Yeah. And also like endometriosis, like all these things. And lymphatics. Yeah. So the lymphatic system is responsible for getting all these toxins out, right?
Yep. We sweat things out, we breathe them out, we pee them out, we poo them out. We grow it out. So hair, skin, nails.
Yeah.
Lymphatics moves these things around.
So if we're not sweating and we're not breathing, exercising and breathing it out, if our bowels are stuffed up a bit,
if we don't have enough bowel sequestrients.
Yes. So maybe like the body has to get rid of junk somehow. So maybe that's through another reason that we can have heavy periods. Or if, so the body has to get rid of this some way and somehow, otherwise it will get put into an area of your body and cause.
We protect it. It's also why we often hold fat. That's not technically fat, it's inflammation and fluid.
Yeah.
So we'll often go, I'm just holding this fat, especially how you're going that estrogenic component, but it's not actually estrogen, it's chemical or related.
Yeah, and because
estrogens aren't high. You don't even have enough bad estrogen. So with bad estrogens, you don't have enough any of your estrogens.
And that's why my booty's gone. So I've lost, well, I feel like I've now got, let's talk about this bit that a lot of women get this tummy that sits here, like this bit here, of fat. Does anybody out there get this, that band of fat? Oh, so a couple of comments here. Jody Studley, naturopath. This is so interesting, emotional trauma of the vagina and uterus, etc. I suppose men go through a similar trauma. I haven't done, Trace hasn't done anything. So we go to our GP and get these tests, and what exactly do we ask for? Is the vaginal swab and HPV both covered in standard smear tests? What else could we ask them to test?
So they'll do HPV, but really that's the end of what they'll test. The test that I use is via NutriPath, and it's their vaginal microbiome test.
Okay, so everybody who's listening to the call, we will put your number in here, Tia, and these ladies can have a consult with you.
Yeah, if they want, no worries at all. I love talking vaginas.
Yes. Yeah, well, and that's the thing, because a lot of people go, oh, no, I won't ask that. I don't know how to bring up that conversation.
They've been told a dry vagina is normal, or it's normal to feel pain, or it's normal. We normalize feminine discomfort, and it's not appropriate.
Yes. Okay. Diane Larson, sorry I'm late. Joe Richards, mine was very heavy. My gyno suggested an ablation, which I had. I'm not sure was the right thing to do. I did have an internal ultrasound prior and they found nothing.
Yeah, I'd definitely be doing a vaginal swab. Whether or not an ablation was a good idea or not is almost irrelevant, because it was done. It was the best idea and the best solution they had at the time, and there's nothing wrong with choosing that at the time. And it still might have been the best even with all of this other information. But I'd definitely still be doing a vaginal swab.
Okay. My periods are horrific, low iron. I had an op and it didn't make any difference.
Yeah, well, we'd definitely, ideally, I'd be doing a Dutch test and a vaginal swab. I take the guesswork out of it.
Yeah.
Like with Chelsey, for your example, when you rang me and said, I've got fibroids, you said, what do I do? And I went, well, that size, you're probably going to need the surgery because it's past the chance of what we can do. However, that doesn't stop the drivers. We still need to find out why the drivers are. And we can make educated guesses, but one of my educated guesses would have been that estrogen is still a driver.
Yeah, and it's not.
However, not only is it not a driver, you have to go on estrogen.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah, I love the tests when it comes to this because it stops the guesswork.
What level should DHEA be?
It depends on age. So it really depends.
So for like around my age?
I have to get out my notes.
Okay. That's okay.
My computer and I'll tell you.
Okay. Well, anyway, we'll keep going. Joe, I had this best thing I ever did as a result of having bleeding and low iron caused by a fibroid. So that was an ablation. Now I don't get my periods at all. I am not 50 until next year, but is that good for our body?
Well, it can be normal. You know, not having a period when you're at 50 or just before 50 isn't necessarily a problem at all.
Yeah, okay.
And the idea of an ablation was to do that exact thing, was to stop you bleeding.
Yeah, and really, so going through my hysterectomy, it's so cool now not have to worry about getting my period. Like it's just that I don't have to worry about every 21 days. I don't have to worry about sex on tap whenever, don't have to worry about all of that stuff. You know, and I'm not weeing myself all over the place. My son's in the other room. I don't know if he's sitting here going la 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 la.
Just made, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So You'll be right.
You'll be right. Oh, the conversations we had, but it's super cool because like him and his mates come over and like I'm the mum that gets asked all of the questions and everything gets spoken to. And it's really cool that kids his age will all just come and chat and talk to me.
It should be.
Mm.
You should be having a discussion. Your mother should be having a discussion with you about your vagina, what period is, how to maintain and what to do and how to look after yourself. But they're discussions that we just don't have for, I think, two reasons. One is a lack of understanding, and often I had a client who came and I think she said, oh, but I wash with Dove soap because that's what my mum told me to wash with.
Yes.
So that at least was a continuity of care of the mother was trying to educate the child, but it's not what you should be using.
No.
Dove is not a good soap to use on your vagina.
Yeah, I don't use any soap.
No, the vagina is self-cleaning.
Yeah.
And if you have to use soap, that's one of those, what's going on here?
Yes. And then guys, don't just soap it all up either. So
Males.
same.
I mean, penises also have a microbiome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just don't want a soapy dick.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where were we up to? We need to talk a little bit about endo.
Okay, what do you want to talk about endo? Apart from the fact that lymphatic work is so vital for endometriosis.
Yes. Yeah. So
vaginal swabs as to what's pushing the endometrial tissue growth, what inflammatory driver is occurring, and how are we going to clear away that inflammation? And we do that by lymphatic massage.
Yes. Yeah. So I've got a great osteopath that I've been speaking to, and he's getting amazing results by massaging through the stomach area, through the pelvis area. We have to get, because lymph vessels, the body will make, if the body's having this big growth of tissue, that endometriosis tissue on the outside, like all through the body, then the body then responds by making more lymph tissue to then try to combat, and because it's a lymph that takes it away and tries to break it all up. So you've got this double growth of tissue happening.
And it's bigger and bigger and more inflamed.
Yeah. So you got the more chance that the lymph's going to get then all blocked up all throughout your body more, because it's picking up all of this tissue as well that's getting out of being in the wrong place. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the body tries to do its best, hey.
It sure does.
It's really got your back.
Gynecological issues in Western society. And we think it's normal. Endo, fibroids, PCOS, all of these things are just normal. Well, doesn't make them healthy. And we really shouldn't be seeing this much occur. Yeah.
Okay. So PCOS, let's talk through that for a little bit.
Yeah. PCOS. PCOS, you can have PCOS without cysts on your ovaries, which is really interesting. It's typically seen as excess testosterone, and it's the ratio of estrogen, progesterone, testosterone that's out of whack normally. There is typically a family history of which, but then it also comes down to vaginal microbiome. It comes to how our body's clearing these toxins. So if we have genetic tendencies, so say you, for example, you might get fibroids because you were possibly more genetically prone to do that. It's like epigenetics. So we can only ever be the best our DNA allows us to be and our genetics allow us to be. Like, I'll never be 5 foot tall and black. It'll never happen. Doesn't matter how much I love the color of the skin, it's not going to change. I can't. So epigenetics is when we put our DNA in like a petri dish, and what we surround our DNA with, that will either express one way or express another. So if we put our DNA in a petri dish and all around it we put chemicals, pesticides, stress, drugs, alcohol, negative thoughts, all of the bad stuff, and modern living, we think something like 80% of the time it's going to express negatively, 20% of the time, nothing will ever happen. So, you know, those people, how they go, but oh my gosh, they're 70 or 80 and they've been smoking like a chimney and drinking like a fish and they live off KFC and there is nothing wrong with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, they're our amazing 20% and they suck.
Yeah, they've got that really deep, great.
For whatever reason, it hasn't activated.
Yes.
Now, for you, you're doing as much as you can, as well as you can, but 20% of the time, it'll still happen. So
that's great.
When it comes to things like PCOS and other things, it seems to be we're more genetically predisposed down that road, but we all seem to have similar triggers: environmental, food.
Is it sugar? Is it sugar? Is that one the one that's more sugar related?
Yeah, it's more sugar related. Yeah, but then that again could be arguably a genetic tendency as well.
Okay.
Because some people eat really high sugar diets and they'll never get diabetes.
Yeah. So what I'm taking from all of this is it's really it's really important to do the investigations. And
hugely important.
I love it because I'm the same as you. It's like we get out our what's that guy's name who, like, he's like the investigator, not Inspector Gadget, but more like Sherlock Holmes.
I want to be like Inspector Gadget.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, we can see all of this is happening. Let's figure out why. And that's what I love about naturopaths, is that we go through, we ask the questions, and then we figure out, was like, oh, okay. And then to see that, you would see it all the time because you consult a lot more than me, but you see it in somebody's face when they go, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
You know?
But there is some, even when we're dealing with any hormonal issues, whether it's PCOS, fibroids, endo, infertility even, some of the times we just need to pull back and go, well, hang on, what's a known driver? We need to work on our lymphatics. We need to make sure our detoxification pathways and our pathways of elimination are working correctly. And we need to control as much as we can the food that goes in. Yeah.
And that's a lot that we talk about. Yeah. You have to be aware. What are you putting in?
Yeah.
How does that assimilate?
Clean house.
Yeah. And then
how are you cleaning your house and what are you doing to that is your first and foremost before you start doing anything fancy. Yeah.
So one little story that I tell for people for a little bit of motivation is, if Chris Hemsworth was coming to your house by the end of the week for lunch, you would tidy, move everything out of the way, dust, scrub, clean, get your hair done, get your nails done, do all of the things, right? If somebody was coming, if you had a chance to have lunch or like somebody come over. And I think that we need to just pretend that sometimes. You know how quickly you can clean your house if someone's coming over, if you wanted to. You know, so you can do that with your body. You can decide, you know what? Here's the line. I'm going to do a little bit of an overhaul. I'm going to get this testing done. I'm going to do all the things that you know what to do. You know what foods pretty much are good and bad. You know that you've got to drink water. You know that you've got to move your body. All of these things we know. But as you and I know, like, we work crazy, but we love it. And we have to factor in those times for girlfriend meetups, for meetings, to do our exercise, to like all of those things we factor in, because we know if we let it slide too much, we
sometimes our force
crash. Okay. I have painful sex after my hysterectomy. So Nick, what my doctor told me is when she did my surgery, she actually left like more of a pocket. And she said to me that a lot of people, when they cut, they just cut, surgeries will just cut straight and not leave a pocket. So they create this wall. So then, you know,
the penis hits against.
The penis hits.
An opening where the penis can actually fit. That being said, there's many other things as to why you can have painful sex after hysterectomy. Some can be a dry vagina, so it can be lowered estrogen, and then we should be doing something like Cibathlon or fennel to actually help plump up the tissue. It can be scar tissue that's been created. It can be not enough of a vaginal opening has been created. It can be that the vagina is, it's a stress response, so it clamps and it doesn't relax properly. So there can be numerous things, but I wouldn't be saying that that's okay. So if I can ask a question, is it always painful, or if the engine is appropriately warmed up before penetrative sex, is it still painful?
Okay, Nick, let us know, darling. Okay, Trace, infrared saunas, Chelsea's gloves and breath work have all been game changers for me with so many areas in my health. Thanks, Trace.
Yep.
Sally, how do we do pelvic floor exercises properly? And that's the other thing that I did is I went and saw a physio. I did so much pre-work. I went and saw a physio, and she tested my pelvic floor because of my the bladder and all of that stuff. But yeah, so do you want to talk about pelvic floor?
The pelvic floor exercises are really interesting because we all think what we're always told is imagine you're holding like a $50 bill between your butt crack, which is right, and it's also not right. There is superficial and deep muscles in the vagina. Your ability to contract and relax are just as important. So how can you actually track that? I use a device that links with my mobile phone, and I have to play games with my vagina, and it actually charts my ability to tighten and release, and then will track the game to actually build up where I'm needing to work on or where I'm not. Because after my second baby, what I could do is tighten really easily, but I couldn't relax. So I had to work on that quite a bit. Okay, so that the name of that, what's the name of that, Tia? So that's a Peri-Fit, and I know Araya has some coming very soon.
Okay, great.
Yeah, because it's really important. Other than that, you need to get your physio to insert their fingers into your vagina.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Squeeze and release for them to be able to chart and track how well you're actually doing. I've used it for quite a few of my clients who have even recurrent UTIs due to a prolapsing in the bladder, and it has done wonders.
That's the other thing that I had lots of, didn't I? I had lots of UTIs.
Yep, and that's probably linked with the ureaplasma and the other bacteria in the vagina.
Yeah. So all the fun stuff.
It's really fun.
Yeah. But it's been a very big learning curve for me. And, you know, I love the way we get sent lessons, and universe, I want all of my lessons sent to me now with joy. You know, I don't want any life anymore, no more surgery lessons, please. But okay, so we've covered the importance of doing lymphatic work all of the time whenever it comes to anything to do with the pelvis, anything to get, and it's sounding like a lot of these diseases, a lot of like that we get have to do with high levels or depleted levels of
Yep.
of
Western diet and industrial revolution issues. So we forget the baseline that we need to be healthy. One is moving our lymphatics is baseline. Baseline nutritional deficiencies, because if our cells are constantly dying and replicating, we are needing building blocks. Our ability to clean house, how well we detoxify and kick off chemicals that actually affect our DNA. Yeah,
which is getting really hard to hide from. It's really,
we weren't made for this.
No.
But not only that, remembering that as females, if we're not checking in with what our vagina is, what our boobs are like, what our hormones are doing, then we're kind of really neglecting ourselves and pretending our needs don't matter.
Yeah, that's a big one. Nick, I had a problem with the dissolvable stitches harden, and it was like glass. So she thinks it's probably the scar tissue.
Yep. So then where you need to do it is you probably need to start massaging into that scar tissue, and we use a fennel oil to help stretch that out. And it does also mean that foreplay is going to be really important
Mhm.
because you're going to have to be super in the mood. And the more that we can actually massage and soften that scar tissue, the better it'll be.
Okay.
Even things like kava in a pessary to help numb it. There are so many amazing things that you can do vaginally.
Okay. I think Nick has had a consult with you before. Nick, she was one of our, I think she might have, but I'm not sure, but she can reach out again.
But maybe never mentioned vagina.
No, maybe we didn't get.
We should.
Yes, maybe we didn't.
We should start all conversation with, so how's your vagina today?
Yeah, instead of boobs. So imagine if we got the shirt here, because you know how my shirt says start at the boobs.
Start at the vagina.
Start at the vagina.
Yep, that's where we're at.
Maybe. I don't know.
I'd wear it.
I know you'd wear it.
My husband would.
But guys normally want to start there. They don't want to start at the boobs.
Yeah, which is half the problem.
Diane, 100%. You never taught how to do the pelvic floor stuff properly. Yeah, and that's why I went and had a proper lesson. Okay. It's all very overwhelming.
It sure is. It really, really is.
I must have missed. Yeah. Maria saying her periods are horrific, low iron. So please reach out to Tia Maria. Oh my God, Tia Maria.
What's yours?
Meant to be.
Sure
Okay. Does our water intake affect how our bodies release toxins and that lymphatic system moves around for us?
Yep, definitely. I mean, if you're minimum 2 litres of water a day, typically 2.5 to 3, but there's some calculations you can do. I'd have to get it up based on age, height, weight. But if you can factor in 2.5 litres a day, should have you covered.
Yeah, and that's throughout the day.
Fresh water. None of this soda stream bullshit. Don't try and tell me that soda stream is the same as water. It's not.
No.
If we start changing the pH and carbonating things, it changes how it interacts with our body.
So it makes the ghrelin, your ghrelin go up or something, and then it makes you hungrier and all of it. It's
not the same.
No, it's not the same.
It is not the same.
So we use Zazen water filters. Everybody reach out to me for a Zazen water filter. You can't drink normal water. Then let's talk a little bit, because we had Di ask the hair falling out question.
In response to what? Because the hair falling out is numerous things. It can be nutritional deficiencies. It can be heavy metal toxicities. It can be autoimmune related, and it can be thyroid related. I mean, they're the typical ones.
Yeah.
But if you have low iron, then your thyroid can't work appropriately anyway. It could be you have low selenium, low iodine in your diet. Yeah.
So once again, let's do some testing and find out, because your thyroid, right near your thyroid, like all of the lymph nodes that are all around in your neck, like 300 or something of them that are all through your neck area, all around this beautiful thyroid here. It's a busy area.
It is a busy area, but it's all related. So first and foremost, you look at your nutritional deficiencies. Are you having enough minerals, selenium, collagens? What's your diet looking like?
Yeah.
And then if you need to investigate, go further.
Yeah, so my silica came back really low. Yep. I had really low silica. And since I've been started taking the silica, I've got like all these new little bits all growing,
Building blocks. We are only ingredients.
Yes. And
so you don't put those ingredients in. They don't just come out of your backside. It doesn't just materialize.
And it doesn't matter how many green broccolis you're going to eat, you're not going to be able to eat enough that's going to give you the right minerals and vitamins that we need.
Because Australia is mineral poor in our soils. I don't know about you, but I don't know of many farmers that sow these minerals back into the soil for your plants to actually absorb them and therefore contain it in it.
Yeah.
So there is more to this than just eating greens.
Mm-hmm.
The greens ideally would need to be organic, grown in mineral-rich soils. Now, if we can't achieve that, then we need to start looking at what ways can we smartly substitute our diet to give us the building blocks for our body.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the cost of everything is going up, right?
Yep.
Let's be honest. The cost of everything is going up. The cost of supplements are going up. The cost of everything is going up. But what's more important than your health? Okay.
Well, it's the vessel that actually keeps you on this world.
Yeah. So that's where we can have a chat about,
Really interestingly, during the pandemic, Dan Murphy's sales did not go down.
No. And everybody got addicted to their mobile phone more. And
everyone bought a dog or had a baby. Idiots.
How old's your baby?
18 months.
Oh.
And I own the appropriate amount of chihuahuas.
Yes. Yeah, let's not talk about how many puppies and how many, and babies.
Appropriate. There is an appropriate amount of dogs.
My two, can you hear my two out the back having a nanny? Nick, go the vagina, the big V. Okay, Maria's going to reach out. High selenium.
They have high selenium?
Yeah, that's not really a lot of things. We don't see that a lot, do we?
No, typically not. But why? Why is there high selenium?
Nick, Nick's going to reach out and have another consult with you.
Yeah.
Can you do a hair test, selenium, iodine, etc., or do you need to do a blood test? So the iodine test is not fun. The iodine test, I think you have to take a bucket with you all day and collect all of your wee. It's probably not that bad.
It's a full collection of iodine for urine. That is the best way to check. Urinary iodine is best.
Okay. So the other way to check, I might say it because you might not be able to say it because you might get in trouble. I don't know, because you're like a full, beautiful naturopath and I just delve into that every now and again. But what the old wives' tale, the old way to do it is to put some iodine on your skin and see if it absorbs in straight away, then your body might really need it. But if it sits there for a long period of time, so many hours or day, then you might have appropriate levels.
Old school naturopathy used to actually paint iodine on the thyroid, the glucose iodine.
Yes.
And you would paint it on going to bed at night time. And if it had absorbed in the morning fully, you would do it again every night until it stopped absorbing. And then in a couple months, you would do it again. Yeah, that's old school. I believe my mother in the 70s as a naturopath was recommending people put it underneath their feet on going to bed at night time.
Yes.
Yeah, old school.
And we can tell if somebody has lumpy breasts, fibrocystic breasts, and you can feel the rockiness throughout the breast, then that's a tell sign as well of low iodine.
Australian diets are typically low in iodine, and it's almost impossible for a woman over 30 not to have some form of fibrocysts in their breasts. And it's interesting to think, could it just purely be to our lack of iodine in our diet?
Yeah, and wearing tight bras and stopping the flow of lymph and all of those things.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and selenium is a blood test. How do we test selenium?
Selenium is typically, you can do it by a blood test, but a hair mineral analysis.
Hair mineral analysis. Yeah, that's what I did.
That's what I typically do with heavy metals, purely because my theory behind it, and I'm happy to be found out wrong, is we put down metals in places that we're less likely to actually do them again. So you can do a push before you do this, but I typically don't. So it shows what someone's laying down normally. So hair, skin, nails, your body's just going to be able to eliminate it beautifully. So that's what I would do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I only drink distilled water, and I don't take my mineral supplements other than spirulina, and eats lots of veggies. So Di's a nutritionist as well.
Fabulous.
And I don't take my mineral supplements.
Is it organic?
She's owning up here. I don't take my mineral supplements.
But we are minerals.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think we like minerals just gets pushed to the side a lot.
But it's like we as naturopaths, or sometimes we get caught up with the fancy new stuff and we're looking at someone's roof, for example. But we've got to remember that if our foundational supports aren't there, the whole roof can go to shit. Who cares? If your stumps aren't stable, the house is not.
That's right. Okay, so let's talk top things. So we know that magnesium is super important for hormones in women and menopause and sleep and all those different enzyme actions.
What about calcium? What about even boron? What about chromium? What about, like, there's so many minerals.
Yes.
I love magnesium and I think it's vital, but we have so many other minerals we really need to be assessing.
Yes. So that's where our alchemy and our different formulations come in as naturopaths that we can, prescribe. And then things like withania. Withania is great also.
Withania.
Okay, so we've got withania, and then we have, oh dear, what's the other one? That's the hormone one. God, it's just gone out of my head. The herb.
Black cohosh?
Yes. Black cohosh and wild yam.
Wild yam, yes.
Yeah, so there is lots. I have women coming in and Fem21, Fem21 does a good job too. So there are lots of products on the market that are going to help the liver, detoxify and things. So I think we've given everyone a really good chat tonight about all of the different things hormonally that us girls go through. And the takeaways are, let's talk about it. Okay. Let's ask.
There's no stupid, dirty, uncomfortable question.
Yeah.
If you think it, ask it.
Yeah, ask it in Boob Camp, safe group. Tia is in Boob Camp. So please ask the question in Boob Camp. So let's talk about it for one. It can probably get better too.
Empowering your body and empowering knowledge. Knowledge is power. Knowing how to and what to do is so important. And it all starts with asking a question.
If you don't prioritize yourself, nobody's going to.
Put on your life best first.
Yes. Show everyone how you need to be treated by that's the way you treat yourself.
I often have lots of mothers come in and, I just don't have time for that. And I get it. I get they don't have time for that. But what happens when they get sick?
Yeah.
What happens when you're too unwell to do this? Well, it all falls apart. So there has to be some, and it's not selfish, and we're taught that we can have it all and it's selfish to take a moment of self-care. Self-care is actually really smart, because if you're not alive or around, you can't be there to help anyone.
And really, if you think about it, if you get sick, somebody else is going to step in, right? So let them step in now when you're well.
It's a couple little things a day. It's not when I give my clients dietary changes, my favorite saying is misery loves company. So it looks like everyone, they go, I can't cook 2 different meals. And I went, well, you're not a restaurant, so you probably shouldn't anyway.
Yeah. Yes.
My favorite thing to my children is, that's fine. Take it out with someone who cares, because this is what we're having for dinner tonight. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my son's 16. My son's 16 now, and he just cooked me a steak. So,
fabulous.
Okay. So last questions, everyone. Okay, Sally, suggestions for the best lubricant?
Oh, with or without a condom?
Do both. Okay,
so without a condom, I like the V for Me Smooth, because it's a fennel oil, which is really, really good for vaginal microbiome, and that's my favorite.
Yes.
Now, with a condom, it's a water-based lubricant called Wild. I'll send you the link later.
Okay, yes, please. Oh,
Yeah.
Elaine is listening in. Hello, Elaine. I need to get you on here in Boob Camp too, please. Spirulina is natural trace mineral supplement too. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. And Diane has said Bassica as well. So
I love Bassica.
I'm on Bassica.
Anyone who knows me knows I love Bassica.
We put Bassica on, you know, with everybody. Lisa, I use Olive and Bee. Olive and Bee.
Olive and Bee is actually a really good oil-based lubricant. Yep, I do like Olive and Bee. I personally prefer the V for Me one purely because of the fennel oil and its ability to impact the vaginal microbiome.
Okay, so
positively. But the Olive and Bee one is a safe one that is not detrimental.
Okay, so V for Me. Where are the girls getting your V for Me?
You can go to vforme.com.au.
vforme.com.au, and please follow along V for Me on Instagram as well. You do share really great information on there too, Tia. So all the girls can follow that along. So please book in, reach out to Tia. We will put her link in here. It's Health on the Hill, but I will put Tia's link in here as well. Please ask questions in Boob Camp. Tag her because she's my girl in there, answers all the questions with the big words for me, helps me out in there. I think we've run through a lot and then summarized a little bit too. And so I just want to say thank you so much for always being there for me. And it's this cheerleaders. Like, I know that we are each other's cheerleaders, but girls, find someone, like create your team. Who have you got on your team? Please never feel alone as well. Never feel alone. Always know that you can reach out. And I know that somebody else in this Boob Camp group would be feeling the same, or have your back, or live in the same suburb and love to catch up for a cup of tea. So that's what I would love to happen a little bit more out of this too. So thank you, my love. Thank you, everybody online, and the replay will be available in our circle community. So Tia, we've got a circle group, so we leave this up for the rest of the week. So everyone in Boob Camp can tune in and listen free. But then all of the conversations that I've had with all of our other experts are all in our circle community. So my team, can put the link in there to how to join up to circle. At the moment, it's only $8.08 a month, or $80.08 a year, because it spells boob. And so that will be going up to $27 a month. So if you want to jump in there, you can listen to all of the past chats that I've had with all of the other amazing guys and girls, all about health and how important the lymphatic system is. And now we know hormonal health and some more big words. And, you know, that the answers are out there and we're still looking for more. Any last words, Tia?
Just that lymphatics really shouldn't be forgotten in any disease or health picture. And when it comes to your intimate health, always ask.
Yes. Yeah.
Just because it's normal doesn't make it healthy.
Yes. Okay. So the girls are saying, thank you so much. I love you, ladies. So informative. Em's popped in your link. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And yeah. All right. Love you, babe. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to, this is the fun part. This is the bit that everyone makes bloopers, and because I can never disconnect properly. And then what happens is I just keep on talking, and then my team like, Chelsey, you're still connected. So let's see how I go. All right, gonna click this off. Bye.